Okay, working on our little 2000 Miata project. I've already went ahead and replaced the rear bumper of the actual reinforcement piece. This is what the original one looked like after the wreck. Smash. I just basically stuck this one up here. It's not fully bolted on there. It's just basically to get an idea of how off the frame is, or rather the body, because it's the unibody. And it just lacks just a little bit. It's got a gap right there. So I'm going to have to push the body out. It's all caved in right there. Luckily most of the damage was done below the actual quarter panel where you can actually see. So I'm going to use some tools and push it out. If not, it'll end up going to the frame shop. I've actually already went ahead and replaced the control arms. It broke the hub, the knuckle, or the spindle, depends on what you want to call it. It broke it, and I've got one on its way. I went ahead and the owner had another subframe with some good control arms on it, so I took the control arms off and painted them up and put them on there. And then I've also replaced the, you can just barely see that red sway bar. The one on his subframe was a little bit beefier, so I put that on there, so that'll help handling. And then once I get all the damage and stuff done, we'll be start doing some body work. The car looks pretty good, but there's a few dents and dings, and the gloss isn't the level that I normally get it. So I'm going to be repainting it that way. Everything matches really good. So we'll see what the end product's going to be on this car. Okay, it's Miata time. It's going to get a paint job. So I've already blocked it all down, masked it off. I'll put sealer on it. Actually, I'll probably put a mid-coat adhesion on it because a lot of the parts are rubber, or on the bottom are like the bumper. The body was really pretty straight. The car looked pretty good. It had a few dents and waves in it and stuff, and of course that's obviously what those primer spots are, is where I've repaired those. So it'll get a mid-coat adhesion put on it, and then it'll get a sealer put on it, and then the color and the clear. So this side here, this quarter panel was actually kind of pushed in. There was no gap between it and the trunk lid. It was actually pushed in at the bottom there, and it's been to the frame shop and pushed back out, and I reworked some of the metal a little bit. I got a new, or a replacement bumper. I can't say new, but I found a bumper for it, which was kind of hard actually, but I have pretty good confidence this car is going to come out pretty slick. So I thought I'd do the before shot. We'll see what happens after. Okay, I actually forgot to bring my camera with me after I painted it to get a shot of it outside the, or what it looked like right after I painted it. But so far I've been color sanding it with, right now I'm on 2000 grit. And I've been doing both hand sanding it, because this car is so curved it's hard to use a palm sander, but you can get one of these from Eastwood for Harbor Freight. It's just a little 6-inch palm sander, Velcro backed sandpaper. Like I said, it's you can use any kind of grit you want to, but it's coming out pretty good, pretty clean. It's even almost shiny, and I'll end up probably finalizing with 3000 grit, and then which will take very little buffing once it goes to 3000 grit. We don't have hardly any buffing swirls or anything like that in it. So okay, the whole car sanded out with 3000, and I've already buffed right here, which you can probably tell in the lighting there. I've buffed right around where the trim right here, this trim here is going to go back, and I went ahead and buffed it that way. When the trim goes over the lip, then it's already polished out and gives the factory look if it had been put on after it was painted. So now I'm going to have to put the top back again. We'll start with putting this trim. It has screw or bolts that go in there and pushes it up against the body, and then I'll have to go inside the car and put the top back to the seal. So we'll see what happens. Okay, now I have the top bolted back in place and sealed up, so now that I can wash and detail the car out after I get done buffing. So now it is buffing time. So luckily a Miata's not small, so it's not got a whole lot to buff, but I'll be using this type of a buffing pad, and 3M's what they call rubbing compound. It used to be micro finishing compound, but they've changed it. But that's what I'll be using with a variable speed buffer. And that's the first stage, and then comes the sponge buffing after this, and then probably a hand glaze or a wax. Well, that's the first stage of buffing, and it's nasty. I gotta wash it all off and everything before I can go to the sponge buffing, but see, it came out pretty glossy. It's pretty hot looking, actually, even though I hate that color. But it's getting there. Now I'm ready to paint the pieces to the Miata. Got all the Ground Effects package set up on the horses, and then of course mounted the mirrors on a wooden horse. That way they're good and sturdy, and I can paint them just like they're on the car. Same with the mud flaps. Actually, these brackets I'm using to hold the mud flaps are brackets I cut out and bent and made for doing a spoiler on a Honda Accord. It just happened to work out where they would hold those pretty good. And of course, then just coat grate the other little pieces to the Ground Effects. But okay, they're shot. They came out pretty.